Hello, welcome students. Welcome to today's session. Our today's session, it is related to class 8 science and chapter that is 4 metals and non-metals. Okay, so here we start. So our chapter is metals and non-metals. So we all are familiar with a number of materials like you heard about that iron, this is aluminium, copper and all. So just have a look, a table is given to you and you have to mention their appearance as well as hardness. So when we name some materials, then we can easily classify them as metals and non-metals. Okay, now the question arises here, how can we distinguish between metals and non-metals? Okay, so we can differentiate between them, metals and non-metals, on the behalf of their properties, on the behalf of their chemical properties, on the behalf of their physical properties. So in this chapter, we will discuss about those properties so that it is easier for us to distinguish between metals and non-metals. Okay, so first of all, when we discuss about the metals, so the metals, they possess the characteristics such as hardness, shiny, they're malleable, they're fusible, they're ductile. So all those are termed as the metal. For example, iron, gold, silver. Okay, so just see physical properties of metal and non-metals. Have you ever seen a blacksmith beating an iron piece or an article made up of iron like a spade, shovel, axe? So how can we change in the shape of these articles on beating? Okay, can we expect that if we beat a wood log, there may be a change? Can we expect that if we beat a coal, there may be a change? No, we can't expect it. So that properties, this property, it is known as the malleability. Okay, this property, it is known as the malleability, where we beat it up and we can give it easily a shape. Okay, so you can also see that the shape of an iron nail, aluminum wire, they can change. They change when we beat them. Okay, and if they are beaten harder, we can easily transform them into the sheets. Okay, you have seen the aluminum foil, which we are using for keeping our lunch tiffins. So you might also familiar with the silver foil also, which is used for decorating the sweets. So this property, which property, what is the definition for it? That the property of metal by which we can beaten it them easily into the thin sheets. That property, it is known as the malleability. Okay, this property, it is known as the malleability. So this is the characteristic property of a metal. A metal is a malleable. Okay, now one more example is given to it. Can you hold a hot metallic pan without a plastic or wooden handle? Can you hold it? No. So many of the experience you have seen that there is a wooden or plastic handle which protect us while it is heat, that protect us from hurting. Okay, so on the basis of these experience, what we can say that the conduction of heat, it is the property of the metals. Conductivity, it is the property of the metal. One experiment is given to us. Just see the activity, how to make an electric circuit to test that electricity is passing through an object or not. We can easily make in circuit. Okay, and if we are using here the conductor, the electricity will flow, otherwise the electricity will not flow. So that property, it is known as the conductivity. Okay, one more example we can see in our day-to-day life, that when we are using the wires, they are the aluminum wires or the copper wires. So how can we find out those wires? So we can draw them, the metals. We can draw the metal easily to the wires. So the property of the metal which can be easily drawn to the wire, that property is known as ductility. Okay, so what the properties of the metals we learn? That malleability. It can be easily beaten into the thin sheets. Okay, we can easily give them the shapes. So that is the property of the metal. Then conductivity means it allows current to flow, to pass. So this property, it is known as conductivity. Then ductility. So it is the property of metal which allows them to drawn into the wires. Okay, now next property we will discuss. Have you seen the wooden bell in the temple? Okay, in the temples are there wooden that bells? No, na. The things that made metals produce ringing sound when struck hard. Suppose when we have a two box of similar appearance, one is made up of wood and other is made up of metal. So by striking which we can make up a sound. So all the reason is only the metals now. From the wood we can't make a ringing sound. So sing the reason because the metal produce the ringing sound. So they are said to be a sonorous. So it is also the property of the metals. Means the materials that have the property, that have the sonorous property, they are sonorous, they are metals. Okay. So after performing all these experiments, all these properties, what we have seen that the metals are hard, they are luxurious, they are malleable, they are ductile, they are sonorous, as well as they are good conductor of heat and electricity. Okay, just see here in the diagram also, we can easily convert them into the thin sheets. We can draw them to the wire. They are sonorous, they are luxurious, as well as they are hard. Okay, so the materials which generally possess these properties, they are called as metals. The example of metals are some example iron, copper, aluminium, calcium, magnesium, all are the examples of metal. But in contrast, when we see the materials like coal and sulfur, they are soft, they are dull in appearance. They can be easily broken down on the pottery mass on the tapping with the hammer. When we tap them, they are broken up. So they are not sonorous as well as they are poor conductor of heat and electricity. So these materials, okay, which are not having all the properties of the metal, they are known as the non-metals. Examples are sulfur, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus. Okay, now some metals are also there. For example, the sodium and potassium, they are soft. We can cut them with the help of knife, but they are metals. And mercury, it is only the one metal which is found in the liquid stage. At the room temperature, it is in the liquid stage. So these are the exceptions. These are the exceptions for the metals. Okay, so these all are the physical properties. Now we will discuss the chemical properties of the metal. What are the chemical properties of metal as well as non-metals? Okay, so first then when we have discussed about the metal, then from the metal what we have summarized that non-metals, they which do not possess the categories of metals, they are non-metals. Okay, so the material like coal, sulfur, they all are soft and dull in appearance. They can break down into the pottery mass on tapping with the hammer. They are non-sonorous and they are poor conductor of heat and electricity. So this is the summary for the non-metals, that what non-metals are. Now, chemical properties. So first of all, we will discuss about the reaction with the oxygen. So the common example that we are seeing in our day-to-day life, and we have also discussed in our seventh class also, that the rusting of the iron. Okay, so how rust is formed? We also studied in the seventh class. Okay, so how it is formed? The iron, it reacts with the oxygen and moisture is also there. Okay, it reacts with the oxygen and moisture is also there. Then what it produces? It produces the oxide of the iron. Okay, one example is also activity is also given to here, that we have to check the nature of the rust, okay, which is formed by the reaction. So what we can do, we can collect a spoonful of rust and dissolve it in the water, small amount of water, and the rust is suspended in the water. We have to shake it well, properly. Now what we can do, we can test it with the red and blue litmus paper, so that we can easily find out the nature of the rust. Okay, so what happens when you are doing it, the nature of the rust, when you are finding out, so the oxides of metal, they are basic in nature. Oxide of metals are basic in nature. One more activity is example it is given to you, that when a copper vessel is exposed to the moist for a long, then what happens? It acquires a dull green coating on the copper vessel. Okay, so this green material, it is the mixture of copper hydroxide and copper carbonate. This is the reaction given to you, that the copper with the moist air, then it is producing these two things. Okay, so on the behalf of all these things, what we have concluded, that when the metal, it reacts with the oxygen and moisture is also there, what we find, we find the oxides of it. And what is the property of those oxides? They are basic in nature. They are basic in nature. Now one more demonstration it is given to you, that what we have to do, we have to take a small amount of powdered sulfur. Okay, then what we have to do, we have to heat it. And what we can do, as just see, with the help of different that is spoon, or this we can also do, just we can make a, you can say, jugaad, that improved spoon with the help of wire and the cap. So what we are doing, we have to burn that sulfur. Okay, so when it start burning, what we do, we introduce the spoon into the glass jug, the glass tumbler, and we can cover it with the help of the lid. What we ensure, that the gas should be there itself, not outside. Now remove the spoon after some time, and what we do, we add a little amount of water there. Okay, what we do, we will add a little amount of water there and replace the lid. Then we can shake the tumbler well, and what we do, we can check the solution with the help of red and blue litmus paper. So what we are checking here, we are checking here the burning of the sulfur powder. Okay, we are checking here the solution with the litmus paper. So what we observe here, okay, what we observe here, that the name of the product formed by the reaction of the sulfur and the oxygen, it is sulfur dioxide. What is produced there? Sulfur dioxide. So when sulfur dioxide is dissolved in the water, we are getting sulfurous acid. What we are getting? Sulfurous acid. And the reaction is the sulfur dioxide plus the water, and we are getting the sulfurous acid. So when we are checking it with the help of the litmus paper, okay, so what we are getting the result, that the oxide of the non-metals, they are acidic in nature. Okay, they are acidic in nature. So generally non-metals produce oxide when it reacts with the oxygen, but for the metals, they are basic in nature, and for the non-metals, they are acidic in nature. Okay, so for this class, we will discuss only this, the reaction with water for metals and non-metals. We will discuss in our next class. Till then, revise your chapter, prepare well. Thank you.